Future mapping for the overthinker's soul. It's a real skills workshop. And our intention is that you will feel more calm and confident as you go through your life by having done the exercises and explored this together. I'm Rick from Thriving Now. I'm here with Kathy Bartuli from Thriving Now and the Intimacy Dojo. And Kathy, could you map out what you even mean by future mapping? And I think for a lot of us, overthinker is pretty clear.
Yes. Well, I think I when I was kind of digging into this, it came up in a Buddhist podcast I was listening to, and I was like, "Aha! I do this all the time." And it was kind of that fish in water. I wasn't aware of how much I was doing it until I kind of stepped back and went, "Wow, I plan the future all the time. I'm always looking for um, how will this come out? How will this person react if I do this? How will it be if that person does this, or if it rains on Sunday, or if they had a bad night's sleep?" There's all these criteria, if then flow maps in my charts in my head about, and it's protective. I think it's not a bad thing to do, but it can take up a lot of energy, and it can sometimes get us stuck, and it can create a lot of anxiety for folks. So and the podcast linked it to, and I think it's accurate that it often happens for people that are very empathetic, people that don't aren't in tune with other people's stuff and aren't probably as overwhelmed with their own feelings. They're just like, okay, it might rain, it might not, I'm not so worried. Versus someone who future maps a lot is like, well, if it rains, we're looking 5 steps ahead, we're looking through multiple. It's not just if it rains I might get wet, it's like if it rains this person might get upset, and they might get a cold, and they might not be able to help me with something, or they might, like, we're going multiple steps in the future because we're generally pretty smart, and we're also tuned into the distress that people can feel. So we're trying to figure out how to take care of everybody around us and also take care of ourselves. Does that?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, if I don't have the empathy app, then all I have to really be worried about is whether I feel good and resilient enough to deal with what's coming. But for those of us that have empathy and perhaps had a childhood where mapping out the difficult people, dad, um, and the stressed out people, mom, um, and the challenges with other people in our environment, it was savvy. It was savvy to
Mhm.
be able to map out possibilities. And this is where the overthinker part comes in. I think for emotional freedom, it says, I've got a good thinker, I've got the empathy app. What is good and sufficient for my thriving? It's not to be like, well, I'm not even going to think about them. I'm not even going to think about what might go wrong. I'm not even going to, but there's a place where, and the sweet spot for calm and confident for me is I have considered, I've put an appropriate amount of energy into considering for myself. That's a key thing for emotional freedom. Did I consider myself too?
Yeah.
So I've considered myself, I've considered the others, and do I feel like the map is good and sufficient enough? And one of the ways that we can tell if we haven't landed on that consciously is that good brain will keep just going round and round. Well, what if, what if, what if? Or it'll play the same scenario. And this is where we use tools like EFT tapping, like, oh, I keep playing this scenario because why?
Why
It's
am I
not just
doing
overthinking.
that?
It's like, if you just ask that and while you tap the points. Does that make sense, Kathy?
Yeah. I think that for many of us, we're brought up with people that were low resourced around us. They couldn't handle the unexpected. And our nervous systems may have been overwhelmed. So if we couldn't handle the unexpected, or the extra, the reactions weren't always in par with what was happening. So we learned to protect people around us and ourselves from that. The landmine, I call them landmines in my mom. So like, we're moving along, everything's fine, and there's certain things will just set off a much bigger reaction than one would expect. And there's like days of cleanup sometimes. So it's like, oh, I think in the past, this has caused a big blow up, so let's avoid that. Okay, if she gets tired, if things don't go smoothly, like we start identifying where the landmines might be and trying to map around them to avoid that too. So I think that that can be there's caring in theirs, but it's also protective, and it
Mm.
can be a lot of work because our brain is going all the time, and then we're also trying to steer after a while. It's not like here are the different possible maps. I want to be prepared for all of them. It's like, ooh, I know this map following this path is going to be a lot better in my mind anyway. It doesn't mean it's true. We think it will be based on our calculations. And then we're trying to steer people into that. And that takes wrangling people is a lot of work.
Would you like to do a tapping on that? Because that feels like one of the first emotional things that have we've raised here is that, oh,
I want
I'm mapping this and I'm trying to guide everyone. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to have an idea where we should go and where we need to go in order to be safe. Uh,
yeah. So I invite you to take a nice deep breath and see if you could just let yourself be here and now. We're talking about things that can be triggering for people and could be activating. So just notice if you're safe right now. You can hear our voices. One of the things I love is to listen to the voices, let them vibrate along the front of your spine, inside your body. That lets you be really connected and here and now. Feel your feet on the floor. You're safe here. And we're just gonna do. I would just seem, yeah, very tiring. Okay. Karate chop. Even though I'm very smart,
Even though I'm very smart.
and I know I'm looking at more than most people do,
And I know I'm looking at more than what most people do.
so I'm pretty sure I'm right.
So I'm pretty sure I'm right.
And I should steer everybody into my right path
And I should steer everyone into my right path
all the time.
all the time.
And if they would just listen to me,
And if they would just listen to me,
we'd all be good and safe.
we'd all be good and safe and thriving.
And it's also very tiring.
Oh, it's so tiring.
I'm tired of this endless loop of planning and pushing people to go where I think they should go.
I'm tired of this endless planning and pushing people where they need to go.
Top of that,
I,
I just want what we're gonna.
I- no, I'm just coughing because there's a fur ball in my emotional body.
I know what's best.
I know what's best.
I vowed they'd only listen to me.
If they'd only listen to me,
Side of the eye, but they don't have my script.
but they don't have my script
Under the eye, and they probably might not follow it anyway.
and they would not follow it anyway. I
Under the
know
eyes,
that.
and I also, as smart as I am,
As smart as I am,
shouldn't I can't figure out all the permutations.
I can't figure out all the permutations
Collarbone, and I might be missing some really wondrous things.
and I might be missing some really wondrous things or some really huge threats. Ah!
Under the arm, how can I possibly relax about this?
How can I possibly relax about this?
Top of that, and I'm also really curious about finding this a little easier.
Ooh, I'm really curious about finding this a little easier.
Just take a breath and notice what's
Mm.
coming up. If you have thoughts or feelings, a time this happened, you're welcome to share them in the chat. It will give us direction for some tapping as we go forward. I think one of the things about this is it can be very much a fish in water kind of thing. A fish in water is always in water. It doesn't even realize it's in water because it's never known anything else. And for many of us, we started this future planning as very small children um, in response to what was going all around. And so it's just kind of a constant thing. We may not be aware how much we're doing it or how much energy it's sucking up. So if it may feel a little uncomfortable to look at that. The fish in water is like when it realizes it's in water, it's like, oh, what? This is weird. So our brain may be a little surprised as we're looking at this. Some people will be totally, yes, of course I do this, but some people might. I was like, wow, I do that way more than I thought I did. So, do you find yourself
Mm,
doing that, Rick?
absolutely. I, I, I consider it a superpower. And like most superpowers, it can get um, way out of whack.
It's nice to take the cloak off once in a while and hang it up. You know, the cape, the super cape.
Yeah. But there's a default future planning,
Mhm.
which kicks in to kind of be that protective part. And um, if I'm overthinking, usually I'm ruminating on the negative things that could go wrong, the challenges and things
Mhm.
like that. And one of the things I notice is that if I include some thriving possibilities in my map, well, then I'm using other parts of me, the creative part of me, the inspired or hopeful or naive, like
Well,
my
I would,
innocent part of me wants things to work out. And I
mhm.
think that, and even sort of can walk in the world just, oh, things work out for me. I feel very young and precious and I'll even say beautiful when I'm in that, look, things work out. Yeah, they work out. And sometimes, it's not what we want, but it still works out. Right. And the future mapping part of me is like, whoa, wait a minute. What if they go to the party and there's a meltdown on the way home in the garage? And you were just kind of hoping that everybody just had a great birthday party tonight, right? My family's going off to a birthday party. So like the future mapping part of me, the protect myself doesn't want to be attuned to the joys that are going to happen. Does that make sense? And if I'm in that mode, my primitive brain will keep mapping and mapping and mapping and kind of recalibrating myself versus, well, I've handled disappointments before on my map. And those show up pretty clearly, the noises, the energy, the attitudes when they show up. And, I also want to hold on my map the possibility for connection and deepening of kinship with people for the kids and my partner at the party. When I do that, it moves from overthinking zone into something else. And
Like one of the things I want to emphasize that you're talking about, you're one of the things I hear you saying is you want to be able to include the positive consciously. And I think when something's really important to us or we're feeling limited resources, there's kind of a subconscious promise if we do a lot of this work that some things will if you find yourself very disappointed when things don't work out well, when you've like kind of surprisingly disappointed or kind of angry or upset when things don't work out well when you future plan, there's probably like a subconscious promise, and we do this to ourselves, humans do this all the time. If I just work really hard at this, then it's going to come out fine. I can worry
yeah,
a lot and I'll get this reward of the good thing. And then when it doesn't happen, there's just a kind of a blow up. I'd love to do a little. Do you want to leave that?
as someone said, I've done tons of future planning in order to be safe and avoid getting into trouble, avoid shame, hide mistakes. And the mark of success was relief. And that's sort of like, and what's the mark of like, the other side that you just touched on was if I don't get the relief, I get something else, which is like that shock, the shock that goes, wait a minute, I did all this future planning. I didn't get the relief of it going acceptably well. Um, I'm getting this shock with all of that. And that shock can lead to that reaction of next time I'm gonna work to control it and think about it and plan
Even harder.
even harder.
Yeah, there's kind of a magical thinking because often we form these patterns when we were very young.
Yeah.
When we had little children have magical thinking often. If I'm
Yeah, I
very
see that
good,
happens when I'm trying to get everything together for a trip. And, if it goes pretty smoothly getting out the door, there's a sense of relief, like, okay, I all that planning, thinking was very stressful. And if it doesn't work, there's that, I need to be better prepared next time, which is not actually a true reaction when you're dealing with a bunch of other humans.
especially small children.
Yeah, because I can't actually point to anyone else that would say, well, you need to be better. You need to plan better. No,
Can we do
that, yeah, please do.
karate chop? Even though I'm putting all this effort in,
Even though I'm putting extraordinary effort in,
I'm paying the penalty ahead of time.
I am paying the penalty ahead of time.
The tariff has
Oh,
already been
crap.
paid,
The tariff has been paid again and again and
and
again.
my neurons are tired.
My neurons are tired.
It should come out all right now.
It should come out all right now.
I've paid the price.
I, well, it lands somewhere. I have paid the price,
But have I really?
but have I really?
Oh, just top of the head. I thought I negotiated with the universe.
I thought I negotiated with the universe.
Eyebrow, if I really worry about this a lot,
If I really worry about this a lot
side of the eye, and have my agony ahead of time with worry,
and have my agony ahead of time with worry,
under the eye, it will turn out fine.
supposed to turn out fine,
Under the nose, and I'm unbearably disappointed when it doesn't.
then I'm unbearably disappointed when it doesn't.
Jen, I kind of lose some of my anchor.
I lose some of my anchor.
Collarbone, and that doesn't help anything.
And that has never helped anything.
Under the arm, I have this story in my head that I can prepay for anything to work out right.
I have the story in my head that I can prepay for things to work out right. If I just,
But that's not always how things work.
but that is not actually how things work.
And I'm wondering if I can find a better way forward.
I wonder if I can find a better balance forward.
Yeah, nice. Deep breath.
And just for people that are new to tapping, what Kathy says is great. That may be exactly the right words for you. We try to model with each other a recognition. And if a replacement word comes up strongly for me, I want you to feel also the freedom to change it for you too while you're tapping along, either live with us or the recording. Um, yeah, that's part of the freedom in emotional freedom work. So go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah. And I love someone said here that they feel like everything is their fault. They're trying to avoid being at fault for other people's pain and my own. And I think that's really important. I'd love, do you want to do some tapping or should I lead something on that?
Yeah, let me tune in something here.
Because when we're carrying the guilt and the blame for other people, we can't find a balanced way forward. I am not responsible for my mother's meltdowns, even though she would like sometimes for me to think so. And I was often blamed as a kid for things going wrong. That as long as I'm responsible for their feelings, I can never find the balance. I'm not responsible. It's their feelings. They get to have them. We have to have that clarity before we can really have clarity. We can find a better way forward.
Even though it must be my fault
Even though it must be my fault.
because it didn't work out like I planned.
Because it didn't work out how I planned.
What if that doesn't apply to so many things?
What if that doesn't apply to so many things?
Top of the head. If I forget the bags on the way to the airport
If I forget the bags on the airport,
and it was my responsibility,
and it was my responsibility,
or I assign that to my 2-year-old,
I sent it to my 2-year-old.
I'm at fault
I'm at fault.
and I accept the pain.
And I accept the pain.
Eyebrow. But what about their moods?
But what about their moods?
Side of the eye. What about their attitudes?
What about their attitudes?
Under the eye. What about things that they say no to?
What about the things they say no to?
Under the nose. What about if things are tiring
What if things are tiring
and then the weather sucks?
and the weather sucks?
How about, am I at fault for that too?
Am I at fault for that too?
Under the arm. I'm starting to feel how useless that is.
I'm starting to feel how useless that is.
Top of the head. What if I don't need to assign fault?
What if I don't need to assign fault? And it may go a little deeper than that too, because for a lot of us, if we're, I think a lot of people that come here are very intelligent, very creative, and very empathetic. And in any given family, there's often the black sheep or the person that's assigned blame. That's just a family systems. They talk about that all the time. There's usually one person that becomes the problem child or the problem person. um, in healthy families that's recognized and they kind of work against that, but for families that have some reactivity and low resources, that tends to happen, and it tends to be assigned to the person that can, the empathetic, creative, intelligent person that can kind of absorb the blame. So I would imagine that there's a number of us here that were brought up from very young childhood being taught that if something happened, that if the dynamics were off in the family, it was our fault.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of conditioned into that, and we're trying to not feel that way again. So we're trying to solve problems that haven't happened yet so that we don't, like if the family's all happy, they're not assigning blame to anyone. Versus in healthy families, people that have the capacity to deal with their own feelings, like, wow, I am disappointed, I am feeling things, and I can take responsibility for my own feelings. In families that have more toxicity, less resilience,
Yeah.
if I can't feel it, I have to assign it to someone else. I have to find someplace else to give it because I can't handle it myself. So many of us were dumped on from young childhood with this being okay. This everything
I
bad
would say that
is
this
your
is
fault.
almost universal.
Yeah.
Um, you know, being a parent, um, there are things that are just really hard for me to deal with at certain times. And if I were a child feeling my energy, a child who's disappointed or pressing for something that's a no, right? There's an energy there that my nervous system goes, well, I'm at fault here for I'm actively triggering this adult into a state that if I wasn't disappointed and crying on the floor, if I wasn't like getting in their face, or is it time to leave? 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 Then they wouldn't be frustrated and overwhelmed and walk away from me. So I do think that there's this quality for empathetic people. Like, yeah, is there an upgrade here? But fault is a crudeness, right? It's your fault. It's a crudeness. And I believe that in emotional work like what we're doing here, there's an opportunity for an upgrade. Like, oh, yeah, even though I was convinced it was my fault.
Even though I was convinced it was my fault.
That's a rather crude place for it to land.
That's a rather crude place for it to land.
And I've got other ways of seeing it now.
And I do have other ways of seeing it now.
I'm not 4 years old.
I'm not 4 years old.
Eyebrow. I'm not even 14 years old.
Not even 14 years old.
It's crude to say it's your fault.
It's crude to say it's your fault.
I mean, it's definitely crude for me to take it on as my fault all the time.
It's definitely crude for me to take it on as my fault all the time.
I need a refined viewpoint.
I need a refined viewpoint.
Chen. If other people are involved, being at fault is too crude.
If other people who are involved, being at fault is too crude.
I want to embrace the dance of energies.
I want to embrace the dance of energies.
And sometimes feet get stepped on.
And sometimes feet get stepped on.
That's part of it.
It's part of it.
I'm ready to be, I would like to be done being so hard on myself
I'd like to be done being so hard on myself
and upgrade my viewpoint.
and upgrade my viewpoint.
Well, whose fault is it? Is binary. if we're in our binary, we're in our primitive brain. Okay. And if you were raised in an environment which was primitive brain, you're at fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's my fault. Oh, it must be my fault. It must be my fault because it's all getting directed. Um, and the truth of the matter is that if I tell someone, "Hey, that's hot," and they go, "Oh, really?" and they touch it to check, and they burn their fingers, in a very crude way, I could say, "Buddy, that's your fault." And it gets through to the primitive brain. Hey, that's your fault. But if somebody is loud and enthusiastic about like making pancakes and they're dancing around the kitchen and it's just way too much enthusiasm, is it their fault that they're enthusiastic about the pancakes? Is it my fault that I'm a little grumpy right now and it's too much noise and energy for me while I'm trying to make pancakes? Okay, who's at fault? Now, we could all use our fault finders and pick, well, Rick's at fault because he's grumpy and the kids are excited, right? Because we want to encourage people to be excited. All right. Well, the kids are at fault because Rick has audio sensitivity and they know it. And they know that in the kitchen, he needs a little bit more focus because he's working with burning waffle irons and, hot stove and stuff like that. And if they're making noise to distract him, it would be their fault because they distracted him from cooking. See, it's crude,
Yeah. Well, I
right?
think underlying that is something even more profound is that I think there's the underlying thought that everybody is supposed to feel good all the time. And I think the Buddhist part of it is like we get to feel good and bad and it's all okay. There's not a should. One of the again, I think I've shared this before. That one of my most profound things I've heard recently is someone I really respect is like connection isn't supposed to feel good or bad. It's just connection. And I was like, no, it must feel good all the time. Like, it can, and no, it doesn't have to. Connection is connection. We don't have to feel a certain way. And I think there's an expectation. We're kind of brought up, many of us, with the concept that we're supposed to make everybody feel good and everyone's supposed to feel good. And if they feel bad, if there's any kind of anything below a little bit of boredom, there's something significantly wrong and we failed as a person. And, our very nature of our being is in question versus
No,
life, I again, Buddhist, like it is what it is. I feel what I'm feeling. So karate chop, even though I have this belief that everything is supposed to be okay.
even though I have this belief that everything is supposed to be okay,
And
and I
they
need to
act like
walk on
that's
eggshells,
yeah, I need to walk on eggshells. And they believe that everything is supposed to be okay.
and they believe that everything is supposed to be okay,
Or it's probably my fault.
or it's probably my fault.
No wonder I walk in eggshells.
No wonder I walk on eggshells.
No wonder I try so hard.
No wonder I try so hard.
Top of the head, things do not all have to be happy and good.
Things are not all happy and good.
I'm proud. I think they're supposed to be.
Part of me thinks they're supposed to be.
So did I. But what if they just are?
What they just are.
Under the eye, that doesn't mean I can't plan a bit ahead.
It definitely doesn't mean I can't plan a bit ahead.
Under the nose, I don't leave a pile of matches with a little child.
No, I don't leave a pile of matches with a little child.
Chin, but if it rains when we're on an outing,
But if it rains when we're on an outing
collarbone, and I didn't plan well enough,
and I didn't plan well enough,
under the arm, everybody gets a little wet.
everyone gets a little wet
Top of the head, it might
and
even
grumpy.
be sure. Well, they might. It might even be
They
an
might, and they might get, that's right, they might get grumpy. They might get playful.
yeah. What if I just let some things be what they are?
What if I just let some things be as they are?
Just take a breath and see if you how that fits for you. Because the more resistance, like I notice when I'm really tired or I have a lot of pressure or things that are really important, I hold on to that thing should be good more, but I have a much better time when I'm just with what is. and trust myself to handle the whatever's coming up. Like I can tend to myself here and now. I can again, oh, let's not leave a pile of newspaper and matches with the 4-year-old. Probably not a good idea. It looks like it's going to rain. I can throw an umbrella in the car if I want to. But if I don't, life is still going to be okay. Unless I'm going out with someone who has pneumonia, in which case it looks like it's going to rain, let's not go out. But when we can ride what's actually happening and not, sometimes I notice myself getting very tight when things are going bad. Like I want to steer away from the bad stuff. I don't want any of the stuff that's down here. I just want the stuff that's up here. I'm not really being with what life is. I'm not being with reality. And if when I can just breathe and go, oh, this doesn't feel so good, but I can just feel this feeling and do some tapping or some breathing or some meditation, and I'm going to be okay. When we resist part of the experience, we're really trying to tighten and steer a lot, and that can cause so much anxiety because part of our brain is saying, hey, if I'm feeling these negative feelings, there's something wrong with me. I did something wrong. I'm at fault. As opposed to, and that makes it so much harder just to be with the feelings that are happening. The feelings are probably not as bad as all the things we're telling ourselves about them.
This is one of the reasons I got into using EFT tapping. For those of you that might be new to tapping, um, there's a quality of stating something that is true for us and a future scenario that is terrifying that we're aware of could possibly happen. That's that's a reality. It's in our imagination. It hasn't manifest and probably won't. We have lots of different scenarios. Many of them can't manifest at the same time. Um,
So we can fear
and
them all at the same
we can
time.
fear them all at once, right? So tapping says, even though I have this imagining that dot dot dot, and where do you want to put your energy? Since we're talking about overthinking, and I could worry about that between now and the time when the event is over. I've decided to what? Be ridiculously calm and confident right here, right now. And what does that do? It's a quality of accepting a reality, including the reality of somebody who has empathy, has a connection that maybe doesn't feel like everything's wonderful for that person, or those people in their relationship. Um, but that's a reality, and it gives the energy a direction. How is that useful? Because we're energetic beings. And if I'm overthinking, the energy is mostly not in my core strength, as Kathy said, that front of the spine, the wisdom of our lower body which actually can discern, is this an immediate threat to our survival in the next 3 minutes? Actually not. Then why activate our survival brain and keep it buzzing for something that isn't that? Our lower body knows that. Our brain is in the
Caught up
imagining,
in the story, yeah.
right? And so that's where we're using these access points, these natural comfort points on the body and some intention. And if you find that you're not getting movement, use a little more of your chi, your life force, to put it into boosting your intention. Now, what your intention, how you want to be, the I've decided to, or I am actively opening myself to letting go of being at fault. I've decided that fault is just too crude for who I am and how I know life at this point. Notice how if you put some energy into that, and it was Carol Look that introduced me to kind of a sequence of how much chi. Like, well, I'm open to the possibility that says I'm gonna like look at the door. Maybe I'm not. I'm open to the possibility I'm not at fault uh, if things don't go perfectly. Or I want to be open. I want to realize that we're co-creating. I intend I intend to let go of fault finding as my pattern my and to shift quickly into a more wise way of seeing relations. You notice, like I'm I'm activating. I'm choosing. Like choosing. There was a line. Like I've chosen. I'm choosing. I've chosen to let go of fault finding as my way of or avoiding being at fault as my way of planning my life, my thriving life. Notice, choose. I this is my choice. And then if you have chosen and you've done maybe some tapping around choosing, you can say, and I've decided, I've decided, I've decided and am actively practicing
Yeah.
letting go of avoiding fault as my way of crafting my thriving life.
Can I say it a little bit different way? Because I think what you're saying is really important and I want to make sure it anchors. And you can see if you like how I say it. I think of everyone has responsibilities at some levels. Adira, as a 4-year-old, still has responsibility to have, she has her feelings and she's learning how to tend to herself and the people around her get to help, but she's the one who has to have her feelings. But I think for many of us, it's like nobody in the family liked broccoli. And they were always dumping it on your plate, but kind of blaming you for not already taking the broccoli. So now when you go to a dinner party, you see broccoli on people's plates and you're like scooping it onto your plate really quickly so that you don't get blamed. And it's like, you should have taken care of this. Why are you not doing it? It's like, nope, I've got it all. I've got all the responsibility for everything right now. It's all the broccoli's on my plate. You don't have to eat it. But that's not healthy for them or for you. That much broccoli is going to give you a stomach ache. And they're not getting any fiber or vitamins. So it's really helpful to go, okay, this is your broccoli, and this is your broccoli, and this is like distributing the responsibility back to the people. My mom gets very upset. I love her very much. She's dealing with a lot, but she can sometimes dump, like, there's sometimes a feeling like you're supposed to make sure I don't feel this way, or you're supposed to take care of me when I feel this way. And I can choose to be there for her or not, but I don't have to be responsible for what she's feeling. There's a difference in that feeling. Like I can be there to support, or I can be there taking the fault and the responsibility, which feels very heavy and doesn't actually let her take her own responsibility and figure out different options, if that makes sense. So if you notice yourself kind of scooping all the broccoli on your plate, just a meditation, tapping, and just being still with yourself or journaling, going, is this really my broccoli? And who needs to eat this broccoli for their own good? Because when people have to face their own responsibilities, sometimes they grow in ways we wouldn't think they would. If we're always eating their broccoli, they're never going to learn how to like broccoli and they're never going to get the vitamins they need from it. And there can be really profound wisdom and insights that come up when we face our discomfort.
How does this tie in for you in future mapping? Is that part of?
To me, it is because one of the reasons I think we frantically future map is we're trying to fix it for everybody.
Uh,
People with empathy are like, I'm going to fix it for, I don't want to feel other people's distress. I want them to feel good. So I'm going to try to plan out for everybody. And now all the responsibility is on me to figure out the best path and then wrangle you all to take that path. And when you don't take that path, they feel bad and they feel frustrated because they're being wrangled. People don't like it very much.
and it guarantees overthinking because something that's that important to us, we're going to put all of our resources toward, including, activating our anxiety,
Well, we're all
taking
in the
energy from
future.
our gut.
Anxiety is the future.
Yeah. And taking energy from our gut. So our gut starts feeling not only not listened to, but also doesn't get to digest. Our
Mhm.
sleep will be interfered with because this is mapping it out for everyone so that I fix it in advance for everyone in all scenarios. Um, yeah, good luck. um,
Yeah. If I
don't give
if
that,
I'm
give
taking
me
on the
that.
responsibility, I have to bring enough umbrellas for everyone if it might rain, and have backup plans that I think will meet everybody's needs and make them all happy and figure out how to get there and make sure I have enough money for it and snacks packed. It's all on me versus, hey, it looks like it might rain. What are some ideas people have? That's sharing the responsibility. There's nothing wrong with pointing out, I think this could be a concern, but it's not all, it's, if when we scoop all the broccoli, that's a lot of work.
Even though it's a lot of work
even though it's a lot of work
to fix it for everyone
to fix it for everyone
in advance.
in advance
And for all the scenarios I can
and for
imagine.
all the scenarios I can imagine.
And I'm so imaginative.
And I'm so imaginative.
No wonder I get stuck in overthinking.
No wonder I get stuck in overthinking.
And I am actively looking at this pattern right
And I'm
now,
actively looking at this pattern right now.
top of the head. I need to fix it for everyone,
I need to fix it for everyone,
everywhere,
everywhere,
for anything that could happen.
for anything that could happen.
Eyebrow. If I heard somebody else say that
If I heard someone else say that,
out of the eye, I would giggle at their ridiculousness.
I would giggle at their ridiculousness.
Under the eye. Maybe it's time for me to giggle at my ridiculousness.
Maybe it's time for me to giggle at my ridiculousness.
Oh, sweetheart.
Oh, sweetheart,
What a thoughtful thing.
what a thoughtful thing.
And you want everyone to be happy.
You want everyone to be happy.
Although you want no one to suffer
You want no one to suffer
and never have any distress
and never have any distress
and not even have a raindrop hit their head ever.
and not even have a raindrop hit their head ever.
Oh,
Aww.
what a sweet and silly notion.
What a sweet and silly notion.
And I'm not killing that part of me.
And I'm not killing that part of me.
I'm just bringing them into a little more savvy.
I'm just bringing them into a little more savvy and balance.
Yeah, savvy and balance. Thoughtful, overthinking. Can we feel it? Like, oh, I was thoughtful. Yeah, somebody said it might rain, and I know my friend just can't stand getting wet. Just can't stand it. I don't mind it so much, but I threw an umbrella into my bag. I didn't even mention anything. That's thoughtful. Overthinking, we can all fantasize about scenarios where rain goes really wrong for your friend, which really makes it go really wrong for you too. And um, and this is part of that um, the middle way of Buddhism and a lot of spiritual practices is to find that sweet spot where we acknowledge, if I didn't have empathy, this wouldn't even be a question. If I wasn't imaginative, right? I I've noticed some people are incredibly imaginative about what could go wrong, and some people are definitely not. What What do you mean I could hit the rocks jumping off this cliff? Well, have you checked what's in the water? No. Have, have you checked the wind? No. Have you at least tossed a rock off and see whether it lands on the rocks or lands in the
Shut
water?
up.
No. So, and those are just the first three imaginings that I can come up with about what could go wrong for him jumping off the cliff into that unknown body of water. Okay. This is a real thing, by the way. I didn't actually articulate this, but I saw a young man climbing up on a thing and jumping off into a rather uh, not deep enough looking creek. Um, anyway, so if we're gifted with those things, where's our sweet spot? And there are things, as we've touched on, trauma, how we were raised. If we were treated as being to blame and we want to avoid that, treating it being at fault. Oh, my sister dysregulated, so I clearly am at fault. She smelled a pizza on the wind and freaked out because she has a thing about the smell of pizza. That is not you. You can't stop the wind. I know, but I'm the one who took her to the playground. Do you see, right? Like there is an overthinking. And even just by acknowledging a few of those from our past, there's a tapping technique where we go back and we imagine ourselves really being blamed for something that wasn't actually our fault. I mean, it's not. I told you not to touch the hot stove, um, and you did. It's not like that. We tap on those, it can free up energy. And actively seeking, where's my sweet spot for me? Have I looked at have I looked at the situation without, from an aspect of what's safe and good. Notice how I combine those two, safe and good, but without it being from my primitive brain. My primitive brain only sees threats. That's its purpose. There's a kind of intensity about it, whether if I'm going to a party or whether, threats to people's emotion, threats to people's sense of themselves, their self-esteem, all of those things. My primitive brain can pick up on 1,000 things.
Well, and I think the future mapping relies pretty heavily on our fear factor, our primitive brain, and it can eliminate like some of the best adventures I've ever had were where we ran into an unexpected situation and together, me and the other people came up with a creative solution that none of us would have come up with ourselves necessarily. And even if it didn't work out perfectly, it's something we look back on and laugh together about. It bonded us. But when we're really like focused on the negative scenarios and we kind of get locked into that rut, we're not going to necessarily see some of those other possibilities. Oh, we're stuck here in the park and it's pouring rain and, what are we going to do? Versus, oh, there's a hot air balloon over there. Maybe we can jump in that and fly someplace above the clouds or like, something weird that we wouldn't have thought of if we're like, what are we going to do with that kind of white
Mhm.
knuckling feeling?
Even though I'm definitely going to imagine the threats,
Even though I'm going to definitely imagine the threats.
just mapping out the key ones is good enough.
Just mapping out the key ones is good enough.
And I want to look for things that are safe and good.
I want to look for things that are safe and good.
Imagining without being attached to outcomes.
Imagining without becoming attached to outcomes.
Top of the head. This could be really fun.
This could be really fun.
Well, I wonder what ways it could be fun.
I wonder what ways it could be fun.
So the guy. And it might rain.
And it might rain. And I like dancing in the
Yeah. Yeah. And it might not work out great.
rain. It might not work out great.
I'm not at fault if it doesn't work out great.
I'm not at fault for the rain. And if it doesn't work out great,
Chen. I'm letting go of that interpretation.
I'm letting go of that interpretation.
I choose to let go of that crude interpretation.
I choose to let go of that crude interpretation.
And there's more to it than that, and I know it.
There's more to it than that, and I know it.
I can imagine other things that are involved.
I can imagine other things that are involved.
And some of it just is.
Some of it just is. I love that.
And
Just
that,
is. This just the Buddha saying just this, however it is right now, just this is how it should be. Um, that's really when I can remember that, it's very helpful. And there's some things I'm just like, I don't want to be just this. I don't like this. I don't want it. I do a little tapping, like, okay, I don't really like it, but it is in the moment what it is. And I think there's so much power when we can put our feet on bedrock by accepting just where we are um, in the moment.
so let's take a 7-minute break here. We've been going at this, and I think that this is where we start coming back to like just this or this just is.
I'm
But there
talking more about
also energetically can be, and this too shall pass,
Mhm.
and it's okay for me to be attuned to the possibilities.
Yeah, I
Um,
think we should do some tapping on the anxiety it can create because I know for a lot of people that's a big part of our lives,
yeah.
running on an anxiety.
The chat will be open during the break if there's something that's come to you that you'd like to make sure that we cover in the last part of the workshop. Um, and if you're on the recording, hi, thanks. Glad you're here. We encourage you to take a break because that gives your body a chance to integrate and to get some next level clarity for yourself as well.
So
Okay.
give me a couple of
All right.
minutes.
Be back in 7.
I have
Welcome back. Hmm. I want to put a pitch in for us overthinkers. we mentioned tapping. It is a tool that we use. And one of the things, if you're thinking about something and you just speak out loud what you're thinking, um, and you're tapping the points, something is going to happen. You're now moving your energy, not in the narrow band of just thinking. You're thinking with movement. Um, if I look at almost every wise person I have learned from in my life, they also say things like, you know, if you go for a walk, it'll feel different afterwards.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. If if you have something that you're processing and there's a lot of thought involved, walking 1,000 steps, if you're physically capable of that, or even just getting up and swaying from side to side and moving your body in ways that aren't habitually part of how you think in here, will change the energy of it. When we look at emotional freedom, emotions is energy in motion. And if we're feeling anxious, that's an energy state. And if you move your energy, change your body posture, you may feel anxious still, but you're bringing other aspects of you online. We have good thinkers, uh, and they're not all of the intelligence in our body. We have intelligence in our bones and in our blood. We have it in our gut, our groin, our knower, wherever that is for you, and certainly in our heart and in our voice. Sometimes just hearing, and that's, I think, part of the magic of tapping is that we get to hear some of the raw things, especially as you notice, and I touched on this as you're tapping along, what words come out of your mouth that change what we're saying? What words do you speak that we're offering that are like, oh, that brings tears to my eyes? That is a reflection of the energy, and we're moving with it. We're getting the energy moving. Anything over, um, like overthinking, is by definition, you're putting more of your life's energy there when it could go, and there's an intelligence to it being flowing elsewhere in your body to balance, to nourish, to activate, to listen.
Well, I think when we're breathing, we're noticing our breath, or we're moving, or we're tapping, we're inviting our system to come back to here and now. And one of the reasons that overthinking is so complex is because we're thinking about, okay, in the past this happened, and I'm interpolating out to the future. And then I'm in the future wondering if this and this, there's not very much of me here and now. And anxiety is about like wondering about the future. How is it going to go? How I'm going to handle it? And I don't know how I'm going to handle it. There's no way my brain is my I have a pretty good brain, but there's no way I could figure out all the possible permutations of how I'm going to feel on a given day, how everybody else is going to interact, how the situation is going to come out, and my brain gets really squirrely trying to figure that out versus how can I be resilient here and now? Can I be here with myself in this moment, feeling the feelings that I'm feeling and learning to tolerate and to be okay with all the different feelings that come through. And I think just to put a plug in for next week's, is it next week or the week after's call? Um,
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks. Um, we're going to be talking about holding both good and bad at the same time, which is, I think, for many of us, it's very much like, nope, we're just going to hold on to the good really tight and we're going to ignore the bad. Or if we're feeling bad, we can't allow any good. Um, But if I can learn to just be here with myself, and I just invite you to do that if you feel drawn to just take a breath and notice the breath coming into your body. Imagine breathing to your toes, letting it out, and just notice what you're feeling right here and now. And see if it's okay just to feel what you're feeling. If you're here and upright and not drooling on yourself, you're probably handling the feeling okay. We're teaching ourselves to trust our own resiliency, our own ability to feel what's there. And that's very powerful. The more I practice that in different situations, the more likely I am to handle the situation that goes foobar pretty well. Because there will be situations that go foobar, but oh, okay. In the past, I've been with myself through that foobar, different foobars, and I've been okay. So now I'm not panicking. And now I have more ability to see different situations and different options and to take care of myself and anyone else who might need it.
Mhm. You wrote about letting go of the river's reins. Do you want to touch on that? Because I'm intrigued by what you're
Well, part of that's the steering everybody else, but steering, trying to steer not just other people, but the events that are going on.
like swimming upstream.
Yeah. So if I'm trying to hold on tight and kind of steer life, and I think that especially as small children, we learn that we want that and that magical thinking, it's very hard to let go of. We're kind of taught in our society if you just work hard, you're determined, you push through, you'll make what's, like,
Discipline.
yeah. Do not, we will not accept defeat. We will make it what we want. We will wrench life into the path we want. And that's a lot of fucking work. And life doesn't actually do that. Like, I'm sorry. I've taken all the self-help classes that are out there where you just like landmark, you just will it to be the way you want it to be. And I'm like, I wore myself out doing that stuff. And I wasn't really with what was happening in the world. So when we're trying to steer really hard, we're trying to make, life is flowing like a river, and we don't know like what's around the next corner. We don't know if there's rocky, a waterfall or a beautiful still lake or with willows over it, or we're going down the mountainside over rocks. We don't really know what's there. And when we're trying to steer and make it a certain way, it's a lot of effort with very little outcome often. That's not to say we can't plan and like, oh, maybe I can learn this skill so I can handle this better. Maybe I notice that I'm lacking this resiliency. How can I get more of that? The canoe I'm in is leaking. Let me pull over to the side and patch it. Those are all fine. Those are things I'm responsible for and can take care of. But when I'm into like I'm going to make the waterfall not be there, or I'm going to make the water run faster than it is. I'm pushing against something that's not pushable really. I'm just expending a lot of energy, and it can leave, at least for me when I do it, I have that sense of futility and frustration. Like I'm telling myself I should be able to do something, but it's not working. But I'm trying to deny it because I somehow got the idea I should be able to do this. I should will it to space. Um, it's just the more we do that, if we can catch ourselves, wow, I'm trying to steer the river as opposed to steer my canoe.
Yeah.
That's, like that's,
In the river instead of the canoe. That was the image I'm getting is in the now there's a flow to life and I can set my paddle. I can there is influence. I'm not a leaf at the whim of the wind and the water. I I have agency. Part of that is being able to use some the right level of chi to steer, to direct. But if there's a palpable feeling when we turn upstream and now we're not in the flow of life, we're like objecting and we're trying to future map in ways that aren't actually particularly useful. Um, and there's a feeling, and I get anxious when I do that, and it's actually body guidance, which says, "Oh, of course I'm anxious.
of course, I'm getting anxious.
Eyebrow. I'm trying to do something that doesn't work.
I'm trying to do something that doesn't work.
I'm trying to change the river.
I'm trying to change the river.
The river is,
The river is,
and I am,
and I am.
and I have agency to set some direction,
I do have agency to set some direction,
even paddle over to the bank.
even paddle over to the bank.
There's so much of this river that I'm out of control of,
There's so much of this river I'm out of control of.
and the weather,
And the weather,
and the other people.
and the other people.
Some of them in my canoe.
Some of them are not going to.
Yeah, I'm in the process of accepting what is
I'm in the process of accepting what is
while building the strength in my agency.
while building the strength of my agency.
So
I
again,
love it.
agency is like, oh, I got the, I don't know what to do. I'm in this canoe, and we're like, ah. Agency says, well, I don't know if it's going to actually solve the problem, but I can choose to put my canoe paddle in on one side and provide some movement, some resistance. I can switch to the other side. I can switch back and forth. I can paddle forward. I could even back paddle a little, which what does it do? It really does change the trajectory, but we're not actually trying to back paddle the river into something that it's not. Or
I
um,
think of the example
this
right.
is very empowering, I find,
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
think
so
of
I
that.
think of the political world right now. I am not very happy with what's going on in the political world, but the odds of me changing presidents is very small. So I that's if I think of that as this big river, there are times that I feel very overwhelmed and I notice it's not good for my nervous system to be so aware of things. I can steer to the side where it's not quite so rushy water and kind of paddle a little slower and give myself a break. And then I can decide if I want to paddle a little more in and be a little more activist, do a little bit more to, kind of influence the river a little bit. But I know that I'm not going to change the path of the river in general. I can add my influence with others to make a little bit of a difference. But there's no way my on my own I can actually make the river shift. I can decide where in the river I want to be and how active and how much I want to participate and take care of myself.
Even supporting and creating little mini flotillas
Mhm.
for support, for the sharing of resources. Um, right. And by by future mapping, there are things that we can be aware of, like, oh, you know, I'm noticing we're in the mountains, and I notice that the river seems to be like moving downstream and
Going a
the
little faster.
going a little faster. Um, maybe I want to take my canoe and port someplace else. Um, future mapping again is not what we're it. We said future mapping for the overthinker's soul. Our soul direction is providing guidance and awareness and possibilities. And the beautiful thing about the kind of conscious awareness that comes with this work and this skill, because this is a real skill, is okay, I'm mapping. What am I picking up on? And where is that core of me directing my energy, my posture now and now? And we can have ideas about where it might be in 3 months or 3 years, but future mapping, if I'm keeping it close enough to home, like, oh, my own guidance, my own soul guidance, the connection that I have with other people that matter to me, that there's resonance to, my wisdom circle, my spiritual buddies, if I'm in that, there's much less of an experience of that very deeply unsatisfying anxiety producing overthinking. You're like, oh, I just spent I just spent a lot of time polishing the same turd. Okay. Yeah. Where's my heart directing my energy now? Oh, to breathe, to go for a walk. Ah, okay. I've mapped out the the pain situation and this connection I have. What is the what are the things that could really be good here? Safe and good. Um, I have someone who reconnected with me last night after they're extremely dear to me, but the connection between us often goes quiet. They're very private. But they revealed some things last night, a series of intense things. And what I noticed is my future mapping went into like, okay, what are the what are the real challenges? Real challenges. Where's the real pain here? And it mapped those things out pretty quickly. And for me, future mapping that includes, well, what's my yes? Kind of like, okay, well, I'd be willing to get a call in the middle of the night. I made that clear to them. I'd be willing to come see them at their new place. Um, yeah, that's a yes for me. You notice I'm taking like they have, they're going to a new place and they're nervous about being there, a new job, a new place, a new part of the country, everything. And so I started mapping out in my future mapping, well, what's my yes? What is congruent? And in that, there was some like, well, I really should, we've tapped on this with other real skills. Shoulds are not guidance for me. That's like guilt, society. My role in this person's life says I should do this, this, and this, and I shouldn't do this, this, and this. Um, so part of not overthinking is like, okay, there's a should here. What is really my yes? And I mapped out the pain. And as Kathy said, in this connection right now, it's much deeper, it's much closer, and it doesn't feel good because they are not in a good place. But that does not mean that they can't be thriving. It doesn't mean that these challenges are all that they have in their world because there is love. I have it for them. There's friendship. Like they have a friend who's showing up for their first week, actually going to stay with them. It's like, oh, what a good friend. Do you notice I'm starting to map out like who are the other resources that are a part of this
That would
person?
all be on your plate.
Right. Because the first initial thing is what do I have to do? Like that's the primitive brain's threat, suffering, what am I? And that's where the skill of moving it into, well, what's my yes here? I have a big yes for this person. Um,
Well, I
and and when I do that, and then I go, well, what actually could be good here? Well, I love this person so much, and getting an opportunity for them to be geographically closer and more connected to me and the family, um, I'm really grateful for that. There's something good in the freedom to find a better mate. That's more of a yes for them, because that's part of the landscape now too. Um, and as I tune into that, I'm mapping consciously. And I wish I was the type of, you know, oh, this will work out. Like that kind of,
But that's not
oh,
necessarily
an
helpful
opportunity
either.
for you. Well, that, no, that denies that's bypassing the real hard reality.
Mhm.
But I also want to consciously, and that's why I do these workshops, why I'm in this practice. It's not, uh, it takes skill inside of me and with my friends um, to go and continue the process of mapping to include what really deeply matters that could be really beautiful. Um, Sometimes when things fall away and we're grieving, I know in my life that there's an opportunity to get clear about what really, really deeply matters. It's not in denial of the grief. It's not trying to bypass or push them from my own discomfort
Be
from being,
happy so I don't have to deal with you being unhappy.
no, no, no. But I can hold both. And as Kathy said, our next workshop is on thorns and joys. And this capacity, uh, I feel, is core to thriving. To be able to hold a reality that's here now, but not as only projecting that toward continued suffering and decline. There's always a pathway toward death. We can find it in any path, including the path of joy, will eventually lead to death. Um,
It's very optimistic. Well,
I
and I
am.
one thing I'm noticing is we're talking about the problems with future mapping and with taking responsibility, but I actually have a preference personally for I see people that automatically there's a problem and they automatically look to who else can take responsibility, who else is to blame. And I personally have a preference for, and I think many of us do this, I look internally first. Where am I responsible? Where can I fix things? Where can I influence things? But now I have to make sure I also add on what isn't my responsibility. Where are other people have options as well? So my inclination is to like that I look first at myself because I think that takes a courage and a willingness to examine myself that some people I think that it's harder to learn if I've always blamed other people to come back and say, no, where can I be? Where could I have done things differently? Where can I take some responsibility? But we have to find that balance and we have to so like congratulations for being someone who's willing to look and plan and take responsibility. That's huge. A lot of people never learn that. And how can we also share the broccoli with other people? How can we also say, hey, I don't have to fix this for everybody. I don't have to be solely. When I think about making everyone happy, I get very anxious because I don't actually know. My nervous system knows that I'm lying when I pretend I know what they need. I have a lot of insight into people, but I don't actually know what's going to make them happy. Like for instance, when Adira was here for her birthday back in November, I she loves to dance, and I got her these beautiful, sparkly little dance outfits, and I thought she would love them for her birthday. I was so excited to give them to her, and everyone was giving presents. She was all having a great time, and I handed them to her, and she looked at them, and she burst out like distressed crying, and I'm like, I, and she's like, I don't want them, I hate them, and I'm just like, oh my god, I felt so bad because I really thought she would love them. And eventually she decided she liked them and she wanted to keep them. And I guess she wore them. But in the moment, I'm like, wow, I'd gone out of my way to find the sparkliest, prettiest, glitteriest ones that I could find. And I really thought that she'd be delighted. This would be a really fun birthday present. And it was not. She was very, very unhappy. And when we try to take the responsibility, like I was devastated and I really had to do some breathing and tapping and like, I'm the worst aunt in the world. Oh my God, he destroyed her birthday. No, I didn't. She had just a sense, she had something in her mind. For little kids often do, and adults do too. We have expectations we don't even realize we have. And when they're not met, we're very unhappy. But I didn't know what those expectations were. So we can't, our nervous system knows it's a lie when we say we can future plan. And I think that's part of the anxiety too.
You tap on that anxiety,
Yeah.
that it is actually, it can be body guidance
Yeah.
that we're going someplace.
Yeah.
It's very,
Karate chop. Part of this, even though part of this anxiety is just that I'm trying to do a lot,
even though part of this anxiety is that I'm trying to do a lot,
part of it is that my body knows I'm telling a lie.
part of it knows I'm telling my body a lie.
I can't figure out what will make everybody happy.
I cannot figure out what will make everyone happy. And I have so much evidence.
Yeah, top of that, there's days I can't even figure out what will make me happy.
There are many days I can't figure out how to make me happy.
I wrote, never mind all these people and some
Never
unknowns
mind every single one of these people I care about.
side of the eye. What if I let go of the need to make people happy?
What if I let go of the need to make people happy
Under the eye and switch it in for just being with them as they are.
and switch it for being with them as they are?
Under the nose, that's a lot more respectful,
It's a lot more respectful.
chin, and it's a lot more connected.
It's a lot more connected.
Collarbone, that means I can let go of them having to be happy.
I can let go of them needing them to be happy.
Under the arm, I can just be with them
Freedom.
as they are.
I can be with them as they are.
Top of the head, that's hard and it's beautiful.
It's hard and it's beautiful.
And it's the truth.
And it's the truth.
And I just notice that if you can. I think humans feel anxious when we tell a lie. Our nervous system is like, something is not real, something is not valid. And it takes energy to pretend that it is, to kind of hold on to reality and kind of like torque it enough that we can pretend it. So anxiety can be, I'm just thinking about the future a lot, trying to make things that aren't, fit a certain way. But I like to look at it is, am I being what is real, what is possible, or am I trying to tell myself, humans love to tell ourselves fibs that make us feel better. And sometimes it's useful. It's like the water won't be so cold when I jump into it. Oh, it's really cold, but I'm in. Okay, sometimes we can, you leverage that a little bit. But if you're feeling a lot of anxiety about it, I do think that it can be like, oh, where am I not being honest with myself? Where am I distorting the truth? Because our body will feel anxious when things are distorted.
Okay.
It's a beautiful guidance system.
I should go to the top of the head. I kind of should feel anxious if I'm trying to change the course of the river.
I should feel anxious if I'm trying to change the course of the river,
Eyebrow. If I'm trying to do the impossible,
if I'm trying to do the impossible
out of the eye, and the unwise,
and the unwise
under the eye, and the unsavvy.
and the unsavvy.
Anxious could be good guidance for me.
Anxious can be good guidance for me.
And often I've just started overthinking.
And often I've just started overthinking
Call about when a pause might be really helpful.
when a pause might be really helpful.
Hmm. Get clear on what matters to me
Get clear on what matters to me
and clear about what I control and what I don't.
and clear about what I control and what I don't.
And that's an edge. Again, for those of us that had trauma or difficult periods in our life where we used our skill to control it as best as we could. And because we survived, that part of us gets a lot of credit because that was what we were left with, ruminating and walking on eggshells and things. And we didn't die, right? So like,
Not
hey,
dying is huge.
this is a big deal, right? And I honor that part of me. Like, hey, I didn't die. They didn't kill me. They didn't cast me out. I didn't go into foster care. Yes. And I'm in the process of upgrading my skills. I've been upgrading my skills for decades. I've been increasing my options, and I'm able to see what I don't control, which is most things. And it's okay. I don't need to be with them and even to add my love to it and my caring and my compassion and my boundaries, my healthier boundaries and my clarity and my preparation. I love being prepared.
It is nice to be prepared.
Yeah. And I love being pleasing.
I love being pleasing,
And that sometimes happens.
and that sometimes happens.
It's a skill,
It's a skill,
but it's not a guarantee.
not a guarantee. Well, Buddhism is all about not being attached to a certain outcome, not being attached to that. It's lovely when things work out and I feel good, but when I get attached to that outcome, that's when the suffering comes in. That's when I'm trying to make things a certain way versus I'm curious how this will come out. I don't have to go out of my way to create suffering, but life sometimes has suffering and it's still okay. And then someone asked for tapping on and being able to rest, and I think that's a really great way to kind of pull this together. I invite you to take a nice deep breath.
Can we pause just 30
Yeah.
seconds here?
Mm.
Um, the word rest doesn't work for me.
Okay.
Okay. And it may not work for everyone. And that's where, like, reset. I'm going to float with this. I'm going to feel for the flow right now. I'm going to quiet myself to feel for the flow of what's happening.
Mhm.
These are these are different. Now, for some people, rest is like, okay, that is actually the sensation I'm looking for. I've had it at moments and I want to be able to rest. Um, I'm just saying that because for some people, my energy system resting isn't actually a good state of being. I know what it feels like, but it's not actually as nourishing, resetting, thriving as like, oh, I'm going to reset here. I'm going to close my eyes and reset. I'm going to take a powerful pause, uh, keeping my power. I'm gonna I'm gonna float with this. Allowing is a great word for me. It's very restful. Like allow, like, it's time. I've done my planning and it's time for me to allow. So maybe you can, for weirdos like me, you can incorporate some of that into your tapping as well.
Karate chop. Even though I've been churning away in the future
Even though I've been churning away in the future
and analyzing the
uh,
past,
and analyzing the past.
I choose to take a gentle breath
I choose to take a gentle breath.
and
Mm,
pause.
and pause.
I don't have to churn away in the future.
I do not have to churn away in the future.
I do not have to microanalyze the past.
And I will have to microanalyze the past.
Top of the head, it's okay to be right here and now.
It's okay to be right here, right now.
Eyebrow, for some people, that's rest.
And for some people, that is rest.
Side of the eye, for some people, that's allowing.
For some people, that's allowing.
Under the eye, I thought I had to strive really hard.
I thought I had to strive really hard,
Under the nose, and I did my best.
and I did my best.
Chin, I'm really tired.
And that part of me is so tired.
Collarbone, and all that striving wasn't really the best thing I could do for myself.
And I've learned that that striving isn't the best thing that I can do for myself.
Under the eye was the best I
Mm,
could do back then.
right on. It was the best I could do back then.
Top of the head, but now I'm learning a different way.
Mm. No, I am learning a different way and practicing.
Eyebrow, what if I can be right here and right now?
What if I can be right here, right now?
Side of the eye, just this.
Just this.
Under the eye, with the uncertainty of the future.
With the uncertainty of the future,
Under the nose, without knowing and predicting.
without knowing and predicting,
Chin, just floating in the river as it is.
floating in the river as it is.
Collarbone, and allowing myself to really be with what's happening.
And allowing myself to really be with what's happening.
Under the arm, there's a lot of power in this moment.
There's a lot of power in this moment
Top of the head, and a lot of renewal as well.
and so much renewal as well.
Just take a breath. In this moment, notice the breath filling your lungs and then releasing, nourishing your body. You don't actually have to plan your next breath, your body's already going to do it.
Mm.
I really appreciate everybody being part of this conversation. I think that this is a little esoteric in that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily see the value of it. You have to actually understand that you're in a river and that you can steer a little bit differently to consider this. And I think the average human running around is just like, I just have to try harder and plan better. And I love that there's a willingness to pause and look at things differently because when we do, even if we have the concept, I mean, just that Rick talks often about that 1% shift taking us to an entirely different place, it gives us that space to go, oh, wait, there's a little bit of a ledge where I can start go peeling things away and doing things different. And giving yourself that is a huge gift. And I just really appreciate you being the kind of people that show up for this. And Rick, thanks for chewing on this with us.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate you as co-creators and in our community. A couple weeks we'll have thorns and joys.
Yeah.
So as that sits in your allowing and your resting and your renewal,
It's not so
mapping, having an opportunity to hold both and notice what happens. Um, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah. Thank you all. Have a good one.